What's up YouTube? It's your boy DC back with another discussions video. It's been a few months since I did one of these, but I wanted this last one of the year to tie back in to the first one of the year. If you remember back in January, I asked you guys basically what your hopes and dreams were for EDM as a whole for the year 2025. And so now in this last one, I'm asking you guys to give me your thoughts on EDM this year. What were the biggest surprises? What were the biggest disappointments? What was your favorite or least favorite albums or artists or songs, etc.? And you guys came in clutch once again, 30 different comments. Thank you guys for participating. And obviously I can't go through all of those comments today, otherwise this video would take forever. And I don't want to hold you guys hostage. I got a lot of videos to make, so we're just going to pick about 11. I think I grabbed 11 here to talk about, and we're just going to hop right into it. These are in no particular order. All right, comment number 1 here by Duck Inert. I feel like Rocktronic has been so close to truly breaking out this year, and 2026 is when the genre will maybe go mainstream. Yes, dude, I really hope you're correct about it breaking out next year, because even though I didn't really dive into Rocktronic that much, I did hear a few songs here and there that came out this year. Main one that comes to mind is The Sound by Misere. That one's been on repeat ever since I heard it. And then, of course, Madian's kind of going down this Rocktronic path a little bit. And so even though I haven't really dove into it myself that much and heard that much, the very few sample sizes I have heard have been very, very enjoyable, and I hope you're right about it breaking out next year. I don't remember which video I mentioned it in, but I definitely said I kind of want to go into my Rocktronic era, and maybe I'll have a theme submission coming up that's dedicated to Rocktronic. We'll just have to wait and see. All right, next comment here is pretty short and sweet. Not too sure how to pronounce your name, but it says, Haywire Bracken, 3 fire emojis. I mean, yeah, if you watched my recent reaction video to Reverie, or if you watched my recent November Monstercat ranking, then you know exactly how I feel about this song. I'm in total agreement with the fire emojis. I actually feel like the community as a whole is in total agreement that this is a fire collab. An amazing return from Bracken. It took like 6 years, I think, since he's released any music. And then, of course, Haywire's back. Super pumped about that. I'm a huge fan of Haywire. Can't wait for his album. I don't know if it'll be on Monstercat or not. I don't really care. I just love me some Haywire. So, and hopefully Bracken actually continues to release some more music. That would be cool to see him back in action. But yeah, this will probably end up winning Best of 2025, or at least it'll be very close. Okay, next comment here is also short and sweet. PexelFX said, Brostep came back. Big win. I could be wrong here, but I'm just going to assume that you're referring to Skrillex's FU Skrillex album, because I saw some other comments talking about that album and Brostep coming back. But if you're talking about something else, let me know in the comments. You could highlight some other big Brostep projects that you've enjoyed this year. But if we're just talking about that album, I totally agree. That was a fire album. Even though it came out on April 1st, could have been taken as an April Fool's joke. I took it pretty seriously. I mean, not seriously. I just seriously enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? I played it so much this year. It's probably going to end up one of my most played albums, most played songs of the year. We'll see. But yeah, it was fire. Comment here by Brain Defect. There's been so much D&B released this year, and it is all sounding more and more the same. A lot of popular artists, Don Diablo and E.G. Zod, for example, have created separate D&B aliases, which is fine, but most of them really lack innovative ideas. Hybrid Trap and Brostep have also grown in popularity this year, but I can definitely get on board with that. So many great songs released in that space. Overall, a pretty solid year, but 2024 was better for EDM, and honestly, also better for music in general. Yeah, I definitely gotta agree with you on the D&B spam this year. You weren't the only comment that mentioned that, especially just on Monstercat in general. There have been a ton of D&B songs this year, and I gotta agree with you. A lot of them are starting to blend together and kind of sounding the same. I mean, I love D&B as a whole. My cousin down in Florida, he was on one of the guessing game videos I made earlier this year. He loves D&B as well. I'll have to get his opinion on it because I think he listens to it more than me. But hopefully D&B can kind of have a bounce back year coming up, or just at least less of it, because I feel like the more time away you spend from a genre, the more rare it gets, the more appreciation you have for that genre when it does come back, when people do innovate some ideas and inject some life into that genre. And then you said Hybrid Trap and Brostep have also grown in popularity, released some great songs in that space. Just mentioned Brostep, but yes, Hybrid Trap as well. I thought that was going to be the genre of the year earlier in the year. Feels like D&B might be overtaking that, but there have been some banger Hybrid Trap tunes this year. First one that comes to mind, or actually like the first artist that comes to mind, is Viperactive, just because he's been pumping it out, and he's had some big collabs. So comment here is pretty big. I'll probably split it up. First off, Will Philly says, I feel like the most surprising thing this year was just how much underground artists were releasing absolute gems. Compare that to the really popular artists who were just releasing for the sake of releasing and not putting any real passion into their work, at least for the artists that I listen to. So yeah, this makes me think of a couple things. First off, Bowtied series he does this week in EDM, goated series by the way, but he basically highlights all the new songs that came out the past week in EDM, and I feel like, I know it's just his opinion, but most of the time I agree with him too, and most of the time the songs that are in like the worst category tend to come from the mainstream artists, and that's probably because there isn't that much passion. It just feels like money grabs. And then songs in like the good and I think it's standout categories, those tend to come from more underground artists. He even does like a highlight of like more up and coming artists to just show one of their songs as well, which is cool. And this also reminds me of like the modern movie landscape with you got these big studios, I'm thinking of Disney in particular, that tend to put out a lot of sequels and remakes, like live action remakes, to movies that aren't even that old, just because they know there's an established fan base, and so they'll make money, but there's not too much like artistic passion put into them. And then you've got the smaller studios that come up with original ideas that don't make that much money, so it's kind of tough. But hopefully we can get some more original movies instead of the same sequels and remakes over and over again. Second part of Wolf Philly's comment says, the most disappointing thing is how short songs are getting nowadays, which also leads back to my last point. I found myself going back to older songs a lot more this year when they were usually 5 to 8 minutes long. I always listen to that longest version of a song for a better experience, but even the extended mixes of newer songs only had like 20 seconds, if that. Yeah, man, I wholeheartedly agree with this. I feel like everybody's just too TikTok brained, too brain rotted, too little attention spans. I feel like that's the main issue, you know, the algorithm, the meta, I guess is what you call it, especially with like Spotify and other streaming platforms, is you want to get a short song so it keeps people's attention more, because a lot of people's attention spans are going downhill, which is unfortunate. Hopefully we can get back to longer songs. I totally agree, man. I definitely prefer a longer song than a shorter song. And then third part of your comment, I didn't listen to that much music this year, but my favorite artist is probably Trifecta. Arise in specific was a great collab. Monstercat returned in song, with the blends of genres being perfect. My favorite album could become Seven Lions Asleep in the Garden of Infernal starts once it releases, but because all 3 singles from it have been amazing so far. I'll probably have to check that out. I'm assuming it's some sort of like mellow dub maybe, but yeah, Trifecta had a good album at the beginning of the year. He's had some good singles here and there, so I agree. Trifecta's been on fire. And then as for your least favorite album, it's without a doubt Riot 10's Requiem for a Riot. What a surprise. Nothing about it was enjoyable, as it was mostly boring rhythm that I was already expecting not to like. Not much else to say about it, it's just bad. Yeah, man, you saw my review on that album earlier in the year. But yeah, I don't really want to talk about it either. Let's just say we might be seeing more from that album in one of my videos coming up. Alright, next comment here by Deej Master. The Skrillex album caused Brostep to be reborn alive and well in all depths of the bass community, and I think it was for the better. As a whole, I'd say this year was very mixed with ups and downs, but as a whole, I'd say it was really good. This is also the year Monstercat has become the most of a hodgepodge it's ever been, at least in my opinion. See, dude, we got another comment about that Skrillex album. I'm telling you, it's an album of the year contender, at least in my opinion. But yeah, I already talked about that album, so let's talk about your Monstercat comment calling it a hodgepodge. And I feel like, yeah, you know what? I generally agree with this. I guess hodgepodge, Monstercat's always kind of been a hodgepodge. You know, it's kind of known as the label for variety. And so I guess that could be a good thing or a bad thing. But I feel like this year in general for quality, I feel like it's definitely been a hodgepodge. There's been a few gems here and there, but I feel like overall, at least for me personally, a lot of the songs have been forgettable. And there was like a D&B spam. There was also a hybrid trap spam. So yeah, it kind of has been all over the place this year. But I guess it's a good and a bad thing, just depending on what you like to hear. I just want to hear good quality electronic music with some variety, and honestly, it delivers most of the time, so that's good. Here by Jan, company has constantly let me down this year, really every year since he switched up his style in 2021, and it really shows me how good NSD was for pushing quality heavy music. Subsidia ruined everything, and we still have not recovered. So yeah, I mean, full transparency, I'm not too big of a fan of company's music, especially lately. I just feel like a lot of it's like very heavy stuff that I don't particularly enjoy. I agree that I prefer quality heavy music. I mean, obviously I'm a melodic boy, but I'd like some heavy tracks sometimes as long as they're good quality. And I guess NSD was pretty good at putting out quality heavy music like he said, so it's unfortunate that's gone. And I guess maybe companies releasing on Subsidia now. I don't really know the lore, but yeah, from what I know about Subsidia is it's music that I probably don't like either. So yeah, I feel your pain. I'm going to botch some names on this comment, but let's get it over with. The Oof Guy says, my favorite albums this year are Skybreak's Half-Blood, Nina Girachi's I Love My Computer, and Skrillex's F You Skrillex album. My favorite songs this year are Fox Stevenson's Moving On, Nina Girachi's It's You, and Pound Hammer by Hollow. So yeah, I know some of these, others I don't. Obviously, Skybreak's Half-Blood, ranked that album. It was fire. I don't think I've heard the I Love My Computer. I think I've heard maybe 1 or 2 songs from it due to submissions. And obviously I've talked about the Skrillex album like 2 or 3 times now in this video. So yeah, that's pretty great. And then Fox Stevenson's Moving On, man. That album, you can see it right up there, Sunk Cost Fallacy. Definitely an album of the year contender for me. Haven't heard It's You and haven't heard the other one. So maybe I'll have to add these to my list to check out. Alright, next comment here by SNES MC3 fan. Trap has become much more mainstream and popular. That, to be honest, I'm starting to get sick of it. I mean, I don't hate it, and I still enjoy some of it. But the trap songs ISO XO style are kind of getting old for me. Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from. The problem with ISO and Knock 2 styles is that they got too popular, man. Everybody's trying to imitate them, so you hear it everywhere. And human nature is the more you hear something, the more annoying it gets, no matter how good it is, because, you know, things are better in moderation. You don't want to spam the same genre over and over again because you're going to get tired of it. So I recommend just, you know, branching out, listening to some other stuff, maybe take a break from that particular style, and then you come back to it later on, and you might like it just as much as you did at the beginning. We'll see. Next comment here by Step on the Gas and Buckle Up. I loved Passerby by Neddie. I thought it was a beautiful and really well put together debut album for him, but if I'm being honest, his second album in July, Neddie Online, was not very good at all in my opinion. I don't want to sound mean because it was unlike anything he made before being vocal driven, but it just didn't hit as hard. Yeah, I'd probably have to agree with you here. So I did end up ranking the Passerby album way back in January or February, I think. And I liked a few of those songs. I think I added a couple of them to my playlist, and I've heard them in rotation here and there. Then I listened to his July album, and I didn't even feel like ranking it. And I don't know if I added any of his songs. Just unfortunate. But a lot of the time, sequels aren't as good as the original. So his second album, he hit a little bit of a bumpy road, but hopefully he can bounce back, drop a third album. That's great. We'll see. Final comment here by The Real Cyborg. In my opinion, Monstercat wasn't as unique this year. At the beginning of the year, it was all freeform bass. Then drum and bass took over. Then No Mana hardstyle or something, which I absolutely despise. And then you have the 2016 Odd Trap. Now there were some amazing collabs and tracks this year, such as the Boom Kitty and Tokyo Machine collab, Eliminate and Virtual Riot, and Viperactive and Virtual Riot. But most of the year was, well, boring. Curry Goat won't be as remembered in my opinion because it isn't that big of a meme, such as Crab Rave, so I will not be surprised if it doesn't make the yearly comp. So truthfully, this year wasn't complete bullcrap, such as August of 2024, but really just boring. Yeah, I think you and I got some similar taste and opinion, man. I got some PTSD when you said August of 2024, the month of Rhythm. Yeah, that was rough. Don't like Rhythm at all. Curry Goat not being as remembered, definitely agree, because maybe I'm just unk status, but I had no idea what that meme was until after I heard the song, and then I had to go find out what the meme was. And then, yeah, the big collabs, I feel like those are the only ones that really stand out this year. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of big tracks other than the big collabs this year, which is unfortunate. I feel like every year we get some amazing collabs, but this year I feel like it really carried the label as a whole. I can't really remember the other big tracks off the top of my head right now. But yeah, we got some trap spam, drum and bass spam, freeform bass spam. And yeah, I agree with you. I don't really like No Mana's hardstyle either. So yeah, a bit of a down year in my opinion. I still gotta re-listen to all the songs and come up with my top 50 versus my top 25 worst songs. So we'll just see how that goes. But anyway, I think that is gonna do it for this video, you guys. Thank you for participating. Thank you for all your comments. I read all of them. Couldn't talk about all of them, but thank you again for participating. And yeah, be on the lookout for the next video. I think Spotify Wrapped might be coming out the same day I'm posting this video, so you might see me again if you're on YouTube later. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.